All right, today we are at Bryce Canyon National Park. Amy, where did we stay last night?
We stayed on BLM land, and it was called Tom's Favorite Spring Road. It was great. I've dropped a pin, and I'll include that image up here, and Rob took a little drone footage, so we'll show you all that, but it is beautiful.
The Bureau of Land Management sites are just incredible so far. Amy found it via the Allstays app. We had a little hiccup last night inside our Class B, our Coachmen Beyond.
Just a little hiccup.
We'll talk about that later in the video, so stick around. The Bureau of Land Management was created in 1946 and was the successor of what was called the General Land Office, which itself was established back in 1812. The BLM oversees 245 million acres of public lands for the American people, and to put that in perspective, the agency manages 1 out of every 10 acres in the United States and accounts for about 12% of overall land mass in America. There are several methods to identify free Bureau of Land Management locations. In our case, we use the Allstays app. Allstays has an app to identify BLM properties as well as many other interesting locations. Like many of the national parks, there's a pretty cool visitor center with a lot of information. We watched a particularly interesting video where several of the people from the native tribes that inhabited this area talked about the importance of this area to them. These were the Zuni, the Navajos, the Paiutes, the Hopis. And the rock formations behind us are also pretty cool as well. Amy, talk a little bit about those.
Well, they're called Hoodoos, and they're just absolutely beautiful. They're caused because of water erosion, ice formation. It breaks it off and just gradually erodes over time.
They believe these were people frozen in time.
They believe they were frozen in time. These formations look like faces, and the natives thought, or it was passed down through generations, that they were humans that were frozen in time. And if you look closely, you can see their faces.
One of the Indian tribes called these the wind people, or people of the wind. They believed that they would gather sand on their travels and deposit sand from the different places they went, thus creating the different colored layers of rocks. But key thing I picked up from the video, it's a place of reverence for Native Americans. Many of their tribes talk about this land in their oral history, and you can just feel how important it is to them. You can feel the spirituality of the place just by being here. Can you imagine, Amy, hiking here, right? You've already seen some incredible stuff. You come up to a bluff like this and look at what you're greeted with.
This is incredible. Just,
beautiful.
You think Zion's beautiful? Just every park has its own formations and beauty to it, without any doubt. And it's constantly changing. Unless somebody's playing a practical joke.
Way overestimated this one. It's after 15.
One thing we know that if you fall is to sprawl like a monkey, a spider monkey.
Fall.
If and when. I am notorious
if
for
you
slipping.
fall, you must sprawl.
So this is just a funny thing.
Beautiful hike. I think we're on a portion of what is called the Rim Trail. Not 100% sure about that, but like the other parks, so much to see here and do. We're in somewhat of a time-constrained hurry, so we don't have as much time to spend here as we'd like. We promised to get back home by a certain date to spend Easter with our kids, so
we're looking forward to that.
Absolutely. thinking that the story of the Hoodoos, the people frozen in stone, kind of reminded us of the story of Lot's wife from the Bible, who was told not to, but turned around and turned into stone. Just kind of reminded us of that. It's like you come around the corner and every area has a different vista. It's unbelievable.
All right, this is our wrap up of Bryce Canyon National Park. It's a phenomenal walk all over. There's so many different hikes you can take, from beginning, paved, accessible, to the extreme hikes that are available.
Parking's a little tight here. They do have a free shuttle that can take you from location to location. We rolled the dice and we were actually able to find some parking for the Silver Surprise, our Class B van. One other thing, Amy found that, is it the lodge, I think, that has a
It's at the
packed
lodge,
lunch?
and you can request a packed lunch for your hikes if you want.
Very affordable, good, nutritious lunch, and I think you get a bag that you get to take home as part of the package as well. So all in all, thumbs up. We would love
Thumbs
to have
up.
spent a little bit more time here. Our time is limited. On to the next adventure. Okay, we did indeed have a power failure in our Coachmen Beyond while we were staying in the middle of nowhere on Bureau of Land Management property in the middle of the night. Let me explain to you what happened. We had actually, at the time when we had camped, a pretty full battery, 99% in fact. So with that in mind, I had intended to use my Truma air heater because the temperatures were forecasted to be in the low 20s. So the first thing here is I've actually not used the heater that much, so I think I made a rookie mistake. So I did look at the air heater on, and I toyed with the different energy modes. As you toggle through here, you can use Mix 1, which is a combination of propane and battery. Mix 2, same thing, but I think it's a different ratio percentage of both. Electric 1, just battery. Electric 2, or just gas. I had actually selected, I believe it was Mix 1, okay? Now, when I had that selected, I did not see an error code, so disregard that. What I then did with that selected, I came back to, my Lithionics battery indicator to see, how much draw would that likely have on my battery. And gosh, it looked like I had plenty, right? Well, here's where I made the mistake. Earlier in the week, we actually turned our LP tank switch off. This is turning off the line from inside the coach to the propane tank. We actually didn't have it turned off outside, okay, but I forgot that this was off. So during the course of the night, we did have heat, but essentially, I believe it was just pulling from the battery. The Mix 1 was not getting any type of propane. So guess what? Even though the battery, was forecasted to last for several days, because it was pulling only from the battery, my theory is that the drawdown was much greater. If any of you are more experienced, if you have a different twist on this, if you think I'm wrong, feel free to drop some comments in the section below. But essentially about 4:00 a.m., all the power in the coach went off. And when I turned this back on, of course, this was red. I think it was actually red for a few moments, but everything went off and we only had about 10% power left. So I think there is a point, whether it's 10, 15, 20, I'm not exactly sure, but where the coach will, for safety reasons, I believe, for the battery, I don't know, it shut off. So in attempting to fix this, right, I got out my flashlight, I turned the power back on, and of course it was quite cold. Tried to just heat via gas, and guess what? I had an error code. That error code showed up both here as well as on my Truma control. So it was an E212H. And this is the second time Tommy and Alice, I'll put their channel up here, right? They saved me and reminded me that one of the potential reasons for that code is that the propane, there's no propane fueling the mix. So, of course, it made me take a look at my LP tank, switched it back on, and the error code went away. So what we then did was just turned the engine on, recharged the battery so that we could have coffee in the morning. Lesson learned. So again, just to recap, what we did was we applied an energy mode of mix 1, okay, that should be a combination of gas and battery. The problem was we had our LP turned off, and so during the course of the evening we drew our battery down. So at any rate, we did lose power. We learned a few things here. If you have any comments, if you have any experiences, if you have a different insight than what I've shared, again, please drop a comment below.
Do you want to build a snowman? I had to do it.